I'm going to make you a promise that 9 out of 10 people watching will ignore, and that's exactly why the 10th will become a millionaire. Picture the calendar. December 31st, 2025. Midnight fireworks stain the sky gold, and you're standing there, glass in hand, realizing that every decision you made this year either bought your freedom or chained you to the same life. Time is the one asset no market crash can discount, and yet the average adult scrolls away 2.5 hours of it every single day. Do the math, that's more than 38 full days a year, an entire extra month, evaporated into nothing. Ask yourself, how many fortunes were quietly built while you were just checking your feed? That is why I call 2025 the point of no return. The tectonic plates of technology and money are shifting faster than at any other time in living memory. AI tools exploding opportunity, demographic waves rewriting labor, capital flooding toward those who move first. Next January, the escalator of easy advantages will already have carried someone else upward. Miss it, and you'll spend the next decade chasing. So here's my challenge. Treat the next 365 days like the final boarding call for the life you claim to want. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to hand you the same framework I gave my own children. One that turned a shy, book-loving teenager into a founder who cleared his first 7 figures before his 24th birthday. Stay until the end and you will walk away with an exact roadmap. The 3 assets that compound wealth, the invisible enemy that steals it, and the daily protocol that locks in results. Ignore it, and 12 months from now, you'll be right back here, only with less hope and more regret. I'm 61 years old, and I own more mistakes than most people own possessions. That's why you can trust what I'm about to say. Wealth is not an accident. It's an agreement between ruthless clarity and relentless action. The clock is already running. Keep listening, and while others debate politics, you will start engineering freedom. Ready? Let's break the first chain. Before we talk about making money, we must talk about killing an identity. The ordinary identity you've worn like a comfortable but suffocating coat. Mediocrity is the default setting handed out at birth. Go to school, trade 5 days for 2, buy things you can't afford to impress people who don't care, and pray that retirement doesn't arrive with a hospital bill attached. The tragedy is not that this script exists. The tragedy is how faithfully most people perform it. I know, because I did. For years, I was the polite man in the middle seat of an economy flight, proud that I could pay my bills on time, blind to the fact that on time meant someone else still owned my hours. One winter evening, my 6-year-old daughter asked why I was always packing, and I heard myself answer, "Daddy has to work." Her reply, "Why does work take you away from us?" hit me harder than any market crash. That night, I wrote one sentence in my journal: normal is a prison with invisible bars. Rejecting normal begins with a single, ruthless no. No to the job that teaches you only to survive. No to the weekend binge that erases the exhaustion, but none of the causes. No to the friends whose favorite hobby is complaining. Every no frees up raw material, time, focus, dignity that can be reinvested. If you think this sounds extreme, consider that the average household spends $1.27 for every $1 earned. That is not living. That is slow suicide disguised as convenience. Meanwhile, the man on the path to 7 figures views every dollar as an employee. It either works for him or it is fired. The difference is philosophical before it is financial. So here is the exercise. Take a blank sheet of paper. Yes, paper, because glowing screens are where attention goes to die. And draw 2 columns. On the left, list every routine, purchase, and relationship that cost you more than it creates. On the right, list what builds skill, capital, or leverage. Then draw a thick black line through the entire left column. You have just made the first strategic cut elite performers make every year. Does it hurt? Of course. Change always charges tuition. But the discomfort of discipline is cheap compared with the compounded interest of regret. Ask the 70-year-old who realizes the house he finally owns feels like a cell because his knees ache too much to climb the stairs he worked a lifetime to pay for. When you reject mediocrity, you are not simply choosing to work harder. You are choosing an alternate reality. In that reality, your calendar reflects priorities, not obligations. Your bank statements are snapshots of purposeful deployment, not impulse. And your identity upgrades from consumer to creator. Make the decision now, before the next video notification flashes. Whisper it aloud if you must. I was not born to be average. Feel how strange and powerful that sentence tastes. Hold it, because in the next segment, we begin forging the 3 assets that turn conviction into cash flow. Imagine wealth as a towering bridge. Skill is the steel, capital is the concrete, leverage is the suspension cable that lets the whole structure span impossible distances. Miss even one component and the bridge buckles. Combine all 3 and trucks full of cash drive across it day and night. So let's weld the first beam. Skill. In every boom I have witnessed, from fax machines to blockchain, the market has paid obscene premiums to the few who can solve the expensive problem of the moment. 30 years ago, it was database whisperers. Today, it's AI prompt engineers who routinely invoice $600 an hour for work they finish before lunch. Ask yourself, what rare, painful bottleneck could you remove for a person or a company right now? And how fast can you become world-class at that? Second beam, capital. Not the mythical lump sum people dream of inheriting, but the disciplined accumulation that begins with the very next dollar. Only 13% of adults invest consistently. The rest donate their future to inflation every time they order dopamine in a cardboard box. I treat every penny like a soldier. It either returns from battle with prisoners, or it never goes to battle again. The question is not, do I have enough to invest? The question is, can I afford not to? Because money left idle quietly defects to the enemy called depreciation. Third beam, leverage, the force multiplier that bends reality. Leverage lets one good idea print money while you sleep, turns a single sales call into 1,000 thanks to software, or multiplies your capital through other people's effort. Think of the young trader who used a $4,000 coding course to build an algorithm, then rented server time for pennies, and watched it compound to $1.2 million in under 3 years. He wasn't smarter than the quants on Wall Street. He simply understood how to bolt technology onto skill and capital. Now link the beams. Spend 90 minutes every dawn sharpening your skill until it slices through competition like katana through silk. Funnel the first 20% of every invoice to an investment account labeled "Never spend the principal." Then search ruthlessly for levers, affiliates, automation, cheap distribution, anything that makes the same effort echo louder. Do this, and the financial snowball begins to roll. Ignore any one piece, and the bridge collapses before your first crossing. Hold that image, because in 60 seconds we're going to meet the saboteur who sneaks onto the construction site every night and loosens the bolts while you sleep. If you don't learn to catch him, no amount of steel will save the structure. Ready to hunt the enemy within? Keep listening. He doesn't kick down your door or hack your bank account. He whispers. Start tomorrow. Check one more notification. What if you fail and everyone laughs? That voice is self-sabotage, and it bankrupts more dreams than recessions ever could. The average smartphone user taps, swipes, or clicks 2,617 times a day. Each tap is a mosquito bite, tiny, painless, and lethal in aggregate. By year end, you will have spent nearly 11 weeks caressing glass instead of compounding assets. Tell me, what could 11 weeks of focused, undistracted labor create? I learned this the night my company's share price collapsed 43% while I was on vacation refreshing social media for relaxation. The market didn't destroy my wealth, I did, by mistaking entertainment for rest. That humiliation forged my first rule of war. Environment beats willpower. A man who keeps sweets on the desk will eventually eat them. A man who keeps TikTok on the home screen will eventually scroll it. Move the sweets, mute the apps, and suddenly discipline feels like gravity rather than grit. Here's a practical strike. Tomorrow morning, set a kitchen timer for 15 minutes. During that window, tackle the single task that most advances your skill, capital, or leverage. When the buzzer sounds, decide whether to continue. Human inertia means you almost always will. Do this daily, and you will rack up 91 focused hours in 6 months, roughly the time it takes to finish a postgraduate certificate. Meanwhile, the self-sabotaging version of you will still be busy curating memes. Second strike, curate voices. Audit your circle with the ruthlessness of a surgeon removing infection. Anyone who complains more than they create gets limited to small talk or silence. Replace them with mentors, alive or dead, through books, podcasts, mastermind calls. Remember, your mind is prime real estate. Only tenants who pay an insight get to stay. Third strike, ritualize recovery. Sabotage thrives in exhaustion. I keep a hard 10 p.m. lights out policy, a phone that sleeps in another room, and a Sunday review where I ask one brutal question. What did I tolerate this week that a millionaire would not? Write your answer, fix it, repeat. Over time, the inner saboteur starves from lack of opportunity. You will notice something curious after a month of these strikes. The nagging voice gets quieter, almost polite. That's not because it died. It's because you stopped feeding it. And in the new silence, you will hear a different voice. The one that asks bigger questions, the one capable of steering empires. Guard that voice. In the next segment, we'll forge the discipline routine that turns occasional wins into an unbroken chain of momentum. Keep the headphones on. Your future self is already leaning forward to thank you. Motivation is a spark. Discipline is the engine. Sparks feel thrilling but vanish as soon as the wind shifts, while an engine grinds forward through snow, sand, or rain. I build engines. They run whether I wake up inspired or exhausted, whether the market gaps up or down. The question isn't, how do I stay excited? The question is, what gets done even on the mornings I dread getting out of bed? The answer is ritual. Think of an airline pilot. Before every flight, she walks the same checklist: fuel, flaps, instruments, because hundreds of lives depend on it. Treat your million-dollar future with the same gravity. My checklist starts at 5:30 a.m., while the city still sleeps. Water, 5 quick stretches, then a notebook split into 3 headings: learn, execute, review. 1 hour later, I've read 10 pages that sharpen a money-making skill, shipped 1 tangible output, a proposal, a landing page, a cold email, and audited yesterday's numbers for avoidable leaks. Only then do I open a phone or inbox. By anchoring the day in creation before consumption, I guarantee progress no matter what chaos erupts later. Next comes the 2-day rule. Never miss the priority 2 days in a row. Dinner ran late and I skipped the gym? Fine. Tomorrow the workout happens before breakfast. Fever knocked me off the writing schedule? Accept it, then return at the next available slot. This simple guardrail prevents a single slip from mutating into a lost week and keeps momentum compounding like interest. To monitor compliance, I hang a wall calendar and attack each completed day with a red Sharpie. The goal is an unbroken chain. After a month of Crimson X's, discipline turns visual, almost playful. Miss a day, and the gap glares like a broken tooth. Fill the gap, and confidence surges. The muscle grows. Micro-commitments cement the system. 1 sales call, 1 investment transfer, 1 paragraph of journaling. Tasks so small they provoke no resistance, yet over 365 iterations, they redesign a life. Discipline is rarely heroic. It's the refusal to negotiate over the non-negotiables. Does this sound rigid? Consider the alternative. Waking to an alarm set by someone else, reacting to emergencies you didn't create, collapsing into bed, wondering where the day went. Freedom is the dividend of structured effort. Keep the Sharpie ready. Because in a moment, we'll revisit the single-day humiliation burned away my excuses and forced a permanent upgrade. Your own turning point may arrive tonight. When it does, you'll recognize it. Every epic transformation starts with a line no one else can see. Mine appeared on a humid Tuesday in June 11 years ago. 43% of my net worth vaporized before lunch. An hour later, the bank froze the credit line that floated payroll. By dusk, I sat in a cheap hotel room with a suitcase, a notebook, and a debt larger than the mortgage on my first home. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, the carpet smelled of stale smoke, and my hand shook as I printed one sentence in block capitals: "Nobody is coming." Two options crystallized. Option 1, surrender, blame the market, crawl back to an average job, spend the next decade patching holes. Option 2, own every mistake, rebuild smarter, leaner, unbreakable. I chose option 2. Despair alchemized into fierce clarity. That was the day everything changed. You may think pivotal days belong only to legends, so let me introduce two. Howard Schultz watched his truck driver father come home injured and uninsured. He vowed never again to let circumstance dictate dignity. That vow grew a single Seattle coffee shop into a global chain that grants stock options and healthcare to baristas the world dismissed as replaceable. Robert Kiyosaki, twice bankrupt, slept on a friend's couch when he decided to master the money rules schools ignore. That decision produced a book that has sold over 40 million copies and taught generations to spot assets in disguise. Notice the pattern. The catalyst is pain. The driver is decision. The market crash did not make me wealthy. My response did. Injury didn't build Starbucks. Howard's refusal to repeat his father's fate did. Bankruptcy didn't enrich Kiyosaki. His obsession with financial literacy did. So ask yourself, what misery are you tolerating that could ignite you? Write it down, yes, now. Stare until it stings, then underline it and declare war. Once the line is drawn, resources you never saw, mentors, ideas, stamina, punch through the fog. The world respects a mind that has burned its bridges. When your moment arrives, and it will, meet it with prepared discipline, not panic. In the next segment, we'll turn that decisive spark into a concrete plan, selecting one high-value skill and drilling it until the market begs to pay you. Keep your notebook open. Your turning point deserves proof of action. Silence is the forge where rare skills are hammered into shape. For the next 30 days, grant yourself exile from the carnival. Mute social feeds, decline trivial invitations. Let even good friends wonder why you're suddenly hard to reach. Into that vacuum, pour one objective: becoming frighteningly good at a single, high-value skill. Scan the market with a predator's eye. Copywriting that moves digits on a striped dashboard. Paid traffic management that turns ad spend into predictable revenue. Video editing that makes creators look like Netflix on a YouTube budget. Prompt engineering that lets non-coders command supercomputers. Don't chase passion, chase pricing power. The litmus test is brutal. Will someone who has never met you wire 4 figures to make their problem disappear? If the answer's no, refine the skill list until it is. Now adopt the 10,000-minute blueprint. Roughly 2 hours a day for 9 months. Block 1 hour at dawn and 1 at dusk, sacred and immovable. In the first hour, you inhale knowledge. Read the canonical book. Dissect 3 case studies. Reverse engineer 1 winning ad or snippet of code. In the second hour, you exhale output. Write headlines, build mock campaigns, edit raw footage. Quantity precedes quality. Aim for 100 imperfect reps before asking whether you're good. Archive every iteration in a folder labeled proof. The world believes screenshots. At the 90-day mark, shift gears from study to service. Offer your fledgling skill for free, or cheap enough to feel almost embarrassing, to 3 prospects who obviously benefit. Frame it as a beta test. I'm building expertise in X. Let me drive Y result for you. All I ask is an honest testimonial and permission to use the data. Deliver obsessively, over-communicate, meet every micro deadline. Each success story becomes a brick in a case study wall that will soon make strangers trust you with real money. By day 180, raise the price. Triple it without apology. Scarcity plus social proof justifies the jump. Notice how your posture changes when you state the new number out loud. That confidence is a dividend of concentrated practice. And if imposter syndrome whispers, remember, you have receipts, Google Docs, Loom videos, client dashboards glowing green. Skill is now an asset on your personal balance sheet, amortizing over a lifetime. Keep racking minutes, reps, and wins until outsiders label you talented. Nod, but know the truth. Talent is diligence dressed in results. Next, we weaponize that diligence, turning raw competence into an offer so clear, so valuable, prospects feel irrational saying no. An offer is a bridge between your skill and someone else's urgent goal, and it lives or dies on 3 letters. VCP, value, the concrete transformation you provide. Craft, your unique mechanism for delivering it. Pricing, the equation that makes saying yes feel safer than hesitation. Build these parts in reverse order of how the buyer experiences them. Start with value. Translate your skill into a metric executives already track: revenue, leads, churn, watch time. I write words becomes, I add 30% to conversion rates within 21 days. The promise must be specific enough to picture, yet broad enough to scale. Next, craft, the backstage method. Show just enough of your process to prove expertise while keeping proprietary edges blurry. A paid traffic specialist might reveal the audience stacking framework, but not the entire keyword vault. Mystery wrapped around competence breeds intrigue, and intrigue schedules calls. Finally, pricing. Resist the hourly trap. Hours penalize efficiency. Anchor to the upside you create. If your copy can net a store an extra $20,000 a month, a $4,000 fee is a bargain. Offer 3 tiers: a self-serve template, a done-with-you workshop, and a premium done-for-you package. Tiering lets clients pre-qualify their own budgets and positions the top tier as the obvious choice for those who value speed over savings. Now deploy the offer through the 5-contact funnel: warm list, DM, past colleagues, LinkedIn connects, dormant leads. Authority post, share a micro case study with data screenshot. Call to action, comment scale and I'll send the playbook. Qualification call, 15 minutes to verify fit, not pitch. Closing call, 45 minutes to prescribe the exact tier and secure payment. Track outreach like pipeline, not roulette. 10 authority posts plus 50 DMs should yield 5 qualification calls and 2 paid deals in the first month. Document every outcome. Patterns reveal which hooks resonate and where objections cluster. During delivery, obsess over speed to first win. If the promise is 21 days, aim for 7. Early victory flips the client from skeptic to evangelist and arms you with fresh screenshots, fuel for the next funnel cycle. After 3 successful projects, formalize a guarantee. If we don't achieve X, I work for free until we do. Guarantees backed by documented results feel like magic to buyers and hand grenades to competitors. Remember, an offer is never finished. It iterates with every testimonial. Reinvest the first $10,000 of profit into assets that widen reach: automation software, a part-time assistant, paid ads targeting clone prospects. At that point, the machine hums. Skill manufactures outcomes, the offer packages them, and leverage broadcasts proof at scale. In the next segment, we'll turn that leverage dial past 10, stacking teams, systems, and capital until your income detaches from your calendar. Keep your pen ready. The blueprint is about to zoom out. Momentum is addictive, but scale is structural. The moment your calendar fills more than 70% with billable work, you have hit the ceiling of personal capacity. That is the alarm to pull the most powerful lever in capitalism: other people's time. Start small. Hire a part-time assistant to handle scheduling, invoicing, and inbox triage. The 20 hours she frees each month can either add revenue at your full rate or restore thinking space for the next growth move. Next, document your process in bulletproof SOPs. Screen record walkthroughs, annotate checklists, store them in a shared drive. Systems let good people perform great work without waiting for you to explain it twice. Now, layer technology. If sales calls close deals, deploy software that auto-books appointments, texts reminders, and transcribes recordings into CRM notes. If you sell digital products, connect a checkout to an email sequence that onboards buyers and upsells before you wake. Automation isn't cold, it is compassionate to future clients who would otherwise wait for your manual reply. Then invite smart money to the party. Angel investors, revenue-based financing, strategic partners, capital that arrives pre-aligned with your vision. Structure deals so upside is shared, downside is capped, and you retain decisive control. Remember, leverage is not risk if you design exit ramps. Finally, amplify distribution. Appear on podcasts, cross-post short-form clips, run retargeted ads at warmed audiences. One filmed insight can echo across 100 feeds, each view sharpening your brand's edge. The goal is exponential exposure without proportional effort. As team, tech, and capital interlock, income detaches from hours and compounds on autopilot. Your only job becomes steering the machine toward ever larger problems worth solving. Take a breath and picture December 31st again. Fireworks overhead, bank dashboard glowing numbers your past self would have called impossible. All because you replaced solo labor with a lattice of levers that never sleeps. Now close your eyes for 10 seconds and listen to the room. The hum of appliances, the distant traffic, your own heartbeat. That's time passing, irretrievable. 1 year from today, those sounds will testify either to transformation or to a story you'll wish you had rewritten. This entire roadmap, rejecting mediocrity, mastering a single rare skill, crafting a magnetic offer, and scaling it through relentless leverage, can fit inside the next 365 sunrises. Will you let them slip unmarked, or will you carve them into legacy? Imagine waking tomorrow knowing precisely what to learn, whom to call, what to build. Imagine checking your analytics at night and seeing revenue tick upward while you read your child a bedtime story you used to miss. Imagine walking into any room, certain that the value you bring exceeds the air you breathe. That future is purchased not by luck, but by the micro decisions that begin the moment this video ends. So here's the contract. Write down the single action you will execute before midnight. Send the prospecting email, map the SOP, schedule the learning block. Then answer the pinned comment with that commitment. Public promises magnetize accountability. And if this blueprint sparked even a flicker of resolve, repay the signal. Tap subscribe, hit like, share the link with one friend who refuses to settle. When you do, you join a league defined not by wealth already earned but by wealth inevitably created. Because the first million isn't paper, it's character under pressure. Shape the character, and the commas follow. You have the map, the time, and the indelible truth that nobody is coming, except the version of you willing to act. I'll see you at the top.
Someone